Why an atheist is like an anvil. An atheist is like an anvil because an anvil lacks a belief in God. An atheist similarly lacks a belief in God. An atheist does not claim, atheists do not claim any special abilities or capacities or positions. Their entire atheism is founded on and predicated on that they have no belief in the supernatural, no belief in God, no belief in the spirituality. That is their only factor, their only quality. So an anvil totally lacks all belief in God. Anvils do not have any belief of any kind, and they do not have any belief in any spirituality or any supernatural entities. This is fully consistent with the atheist position. The atheist makes no claims, and the atheist claims they have no other claims, they have no other standard or quality or position that they defend. Their single, solitary claim to atheism is they lack belief in God. So all things without a belief in God are atheist, and anything and any other factor is that the atheist has is immaterial. One standard, one value, one factor alone defines an atheist. So since anvils and atheists similarly lack all belief, all claims to belief. In fact, an atheist will tell you they have no beliefs whatsoever. Everything they have, they know. Their atheism is their total rejection of all belief, their total absence of belief. An anvil can similarly be proven not to have any belief. So an anvil and an atheist, so far as lack of belief in God, are totally similar, totally identical, both belonging in the same class of unbelievers, or in other words, atheists. The atheist can claim he's human, and he rejects all God claims. But the significant thing is that he is not accepting claims that God exists. Our anvil or rock does the same thing. If we see an atheist and he says, I reject all God claims, I am an atheist, his claim to be human is irrelevant. The point is, he is not accepting any God claims. If we see an anvil, the anvil is not accepting any claims that God exists. If we see a Christian and he says, I'm a Christian, I believe in God, see that person over there? He is an atheist. He rejects all God claims. The atheist could be standing beside an anvil, and we look at the atheist and we look at the anvil, and we know that both have rejected all God claims. Neither the anvil or the atheist accepts that God exists. The technical distinction between the atheist making or assuming he is making a rational decision and is immaterial, because he has not proven that this is a rational choice, because he has not proven that God does not exist, and he cannot. He can reject the claim, he can not look at the claim. In fact, if the position is that I reject all God claims, then this is the same as the Anvil's position that it doesn't know God, because the atheist is not saying or claiming, I have proved God does not exist. I have looked at all your claims, and because of this and this and this, stating the logical objections, because of these logical and philosophical objections, I have decided that you have not proven your points, or your point that God exists. So it's a completely, the atheist argument that he is distinct from the Anvil may be true on a different plane, on the plane of I am a human and I think and reason and whatever, but this isn't what he's doing with his atheism. With his atheism he's saying basically, I am an anvil, I am a rock, I reject or I don't accept. And in some ways the atheist is not accepting that the Christian is human, with an opinion and a decision and the ability to reason, because he's not looking at the evidence, he's not looking at the claim, he's simply stating, I don't accept God claims. So he's basically rejecting his own humanity, though trying to reject the humanity of the Christian, because he's not engaging on a human level where he's looking at the evidence and the claims and making the decision based on his evaluation and his discussion and his dialogue regarding these claims. He's just not involving himself. So the fact that he can say, well, prove to me that God exists, is not any better than an anvil standing there and saying, by implication, prove to me that God exists. Because the assumption that the atheist has made that God does not exist is based on the implication or the assumption or the claim that something else exists. You can't have no God if that's God is the only possible condition. You can't say reality does not exist, because regardless of what you call it or think about it, reality is reality. Reality is by definition what exists. So to say that God does not exist is to say by implication that there is something else, which is, in the atheist position, or is naturalism. But where is the evidence? Where is the empirical test that proves this physical, material, natural world exists? There is no way to prove nature in the ungodly sense that atheism looks at it exists. It's no more proven than what they say God is proven. So to say or to demand prove God exists is an invalid, or is making an invalid assumption that there is an alternative to assuming God exists. And this assumption is, as I say, invalid, because until the atheist comes along and says, hey, look, I've proven physical reality exists, therefore your God cannot exist. But they don't do that. They sit there like an anvil and say, prove X. But X doesn't need to be proven if there's no other position to take. So once more, if you want to say there is no God, there has to be a qualifier. There is no God because nature exists, and nature exists because we can empirically prove, or we have empirically proven nature exists, and the naturalism that we as atheists subscribe to is a better conception of the universe. And until they can do that, to say we reject all God claims is no better than an anvil, because it's assuming, or the statement is predicated on being an anvil and having no position on anything. And so really, so long as atheists subscribe to this position of not accepting claims made by other people, they're no better intellectually than an anvil. And that's the bottom line. If they don't want to be an anvil, take a position, make a claim, state your evidence, and compare it to the evidence provided by others, deal with evidence provided by others, point by point by point, and have a dialogue. Be human. If you don't want to be an anvil, act like a human being. It's not that complicated.